Hello and welcome to the YouTube channel of mprugs.com. My name is Mike. I'm the moderator in a series of videos that is all about handmade carpets from around the world. Welcome you to our channel. Hope you and your family are doing well. In today's episode, I'm going to be featuring, it's actually a follow-up to the previous video that I added to our channel. It's about the Bidjar rugs. And so in this video, I'm going to be featuring not only the Bidjar rugs, but I'm going to explain to you a little bit about the history and the different types. This is in response to a lot of the questions that I've been getting from viewers of our channel, as well as from our own clients, and also from fellow carpet dealers. I'm always dumbfounded by how many folks from around the world I've had. It's almost become a weekly thing that I have for people who are in the carpet industry thanking me for the videos and everything. And as I always say, I'm not an expert. I am not accredited. I'm simply someone who grew up with the rugs. And I enjoy, to me, these are not just a way of making a living. This is what I love doing. But just because we're dealing in rugs doesn't mean that we have to basically overinflate them, exaggerate them. You know what I'm talking about if you've been around rug dealers long enough. And here you have a perfect example with the Bidjar rugs, because there is a lot of misinformation about them. And so what I thought about doing is, this is actually at the request of a couple of guys, apparently someone in Asia as well as someone in the United States. You have asked me to showcase the different types of Bidjar rugs and give you guys a little bit of a background. Being that my family's in the wholesale business, and these are the types of rugs that we specialize in, our selection and also our knowledge is basically, we have to know what it is we're talking about. And so when you walk into a rug store, you typically have salespeople. You have rug stores where they come and go, and oftentimes you have these salespeople who pretend to be oftentimes the children or the grandchildren of master weavers and all that crap. But then when you actually get to know them, or when you really ask them some serious, knowledgeable questions, you realize 9 out of 10 don't have a clue as to what they're talking about. Now, as I always said, and I'm just going to use myself as an example, I don't know how to read and write Farsi. A lot of people, oftentimes they send me pictures of the rugs, and I'll tell you about that later on why and all that stuff. But oftentimes people ask me, whether the signature is genuine or not, and I always tell people, I don't know how to read and write Farsi. I know how to speak it. I'm a bit ghetto-like. But being born and raised in Germany, my parents taught me, well, I learned how to speak and read and write German until I moved to the States, and then obviously learned my English. But I'm honest enough to where I tell people, I said, look, I don't know how to read and write, so let me ask my family. And obviously, being that we're in the rug business, this is what we do. So they're able to translate it for me, and then I can pass it on to my clients. But the thing is, it's really important, especially for those of you that are passionate about rugs, who look upon these rugs right here. And the Bidjar rugs are the type of rugs that people tend to be very passionate about. It's almost like with the counter opposite, the Turkish Rarity rugs. The Rarity are considered to be some of the finest rugs in the world. The genuine, the Turkish ones. Well, the Bidjars are basically the battle tanks of handmade carpets. You are not going to find anything that is rougher and tougher, and yet at the same time, they can also be very luxurious and very fine. But the Bidjars, like the Harites, they tend to have a very strong following. And so what I thought about doing is answering some of the questions, and this has to do with the different types of qualities. And I have 3 examples here. I have also made other videos about them. And so for those of you that are into the Bidjar rugs, keep watching, because I really think you're going to get some information in this video about them that you typically, I don't think you're going to be able to find it in a whole lot of other places. So, but before I get started, as I always tell my clients, if you have any questions about any rugs that you may have yourself, feel free. Below in the description is a link on what type of pictures I need. And I have folks who email me almost on a daily basis, and all their, I always say, you know what, if you want a quick answer, send me a few pictures. In the video below in the description, there is, I show you what type of pictures I need. Write out the questions, make it brief, and I'll be more than happy to look at them, and I'll get back to you. This is something that I do as fun, and I've also been able to help a lot of folks. Again, it's there for you in the description. And what I'm going to do is, after I give you guys a little background about these Persian Bidjar rugs, I'm going to get behind the camera, show you some of the details, and really try to focus in. I do these videos on my own here in the warehouse, so I don't have anyone behind the camera who can help me. I have to do this on my own. So, but I'm going to feature some of the details, and then I'm going to come back to you and say my final goodbyes. And so to basically get started, the Bidjar rugs, it's the genuine ones. These are the Persian rugs. They're made in Iran, but they are synonymous with the Kurdish people. If you were to look at a map of Iran, you'll see that inside of Iran is a state, or they call a province, called Kurdistan. And in the province of Kurdistan is, well, as the name of the state points out, it's a predominantly Kurdish population. These are a lot of small towns, almost borderline villages, and you can see it right there. It's and unfortunately, and this is also where a lot of the confusion comes in, the Kurdistan province in Iran also borders Azerbaijan province. Well, Azerbaijan is not only a province in Iran, it's also a country north of Iran. And so it has, there's always been a little bit of confusion. But a lot of Persian people, a lot of Iranians, they take their pride, rightfully so, and referring to the Bidjars as Persian rugs, as Iranians. But for those of you that have seen my channel, and I have a personal fetish for these Bidjar rugs. As I said, there are 2 types of rugs that I absolutely love. One is the Hurricane, one is the Bidjar. As you can see, I have no problems always telling folks, when people ask me what type of rugs I have in my home, well, there's my dining room right there. I got a little dining room table with a Bidjar underneath, and when I sit in front of the couch, when I sit in front of the TV, well, my feet are also on a Bidjar. I like my Bidjars. Whereas my sister, she has a more modern taste. She would have anything in her home but a Bidjar. So everyone has their own. But the Bidjars, as you can see here, and I blew up the Kurdistan province, there is a small town of Bijar. But the quality of the Bidjar rugs, the groups have actually spread out. The Bidjar rugs are not actually made in the city of Bijar. The Bijar, the city itself, as you can see, it's a very mountainous area. It's a very small city. From what I understand, it's literally less than 200,000 people. This is not a big city. But the people that make these rugs, the Kurdish families, they're spread out. And one of the things that is really unique about the Bidjar rugs is that their qualities are named after the places that were synonymous with those specific types of Bidjar rugs. So, for example, the big rug right here is from a place called, it's called the Bukan quality. If you go to any rug store and the person, it's not just pretending to be knowledgeable, but actually knows about Persian rugs, and this is a good question right there to ask them. Is this a Bukan Bijar? 9 out of 10 rug dealers don't even have a clue that the Bijars, the qualities, the Sanjan, the Tekap that I'm going to talk to you guys about in a minute, these are commonly known. Just about everyone in the rug industry knows about when you talk about the Tekaps and the Sanjan. But when you ask them, can you show me a Bukan? Can you tell me anything about him? They'll look at you and they're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Bukan is one of the small towns in the Kurdistan area. Actually, it's outside the Kurdistan province. It's now, I believe in the Azerbaijan area, but it's not too far from Bijar. And the folks in Bukan some of them are referred to as the authentic, the original Bijar weavers. So we have a large piece right here, which is a very special piece. Then you have, to my right here, we have a Sanjan quality. This is the standard to medium grade quality Bijar. And to my left is one that I'm going to be actually shipping out. One of my clients, George, was kind enough to, I told him I'm going to take a video of the runner, because this is a Tekap, and this runner was absolutely beautiful. It has little silk highlights that I'm going to be pointing out to you. But in this video, I can show you. If you look at the map, you notice how there is Bukan, Tekap, and then there is Sanjan. These are the towns. Well, guess what? The Bidjar rugs are named after the places that became synonymous with those types of Bijars. You have the Bukan, I'm sitting on the Sanjan, and here's the Tekap. So unlike some of the other Persian rugs, in the Bijars, the qualities are actually associated with the groups, with the villages where the predominant production of the quality comes from. So that is what is unique about the Bidjar rugs. Now, what is also, as I mentioned to you, the Bijars are synonymous with basically the Kurdish people. I always tell people, I said, having gotten to know a lot of the Kurdish people, they are very hardworking people, very down-to-earth people. I like them. I mean, I like down-to-earth, simple people. They tell you things how it is and everything. And they're also very independent. And if you own, or if you're looking at a Bidjar rug, you know what I'm talking about, because these rugs, they don't take crap from anyone. These rugs are meant to be used and literally borderline abused. These are the only triple knotted types of Persian rugs. Sometimes, like in the case of the Tekaps, the wool has to be soaked in order for it to be wet enough where they can weave it. And because you're talking about rugs that can have up to 300, sometimes even 400 knots per square inch, which, if you think about it, triple knot. These rugs are so dense, but there is a difference. And so what I'm going to do now is, as I've always done, is I'm going to get behind the camera, show you some of the features, but I wanted to introduce you to the three main types. Now, the Bukan is the rarest of the three. The Tekap is the high-end Bidjar rugs. The Sanjan and the standard Bijar quality, these are the lower quality. These are the ones that you typically find in websites, online shops. I want to say about 70% are the medium grade. The top 25% would be the Tekap. And then you have the extreme rare Bukan pieces. And so what I'm going to do now, as I always done, is I'm going to get behind the camera, show you some of the details, and then come back to you later and say my final goodbyes. So here I'm back again from behind the camera, and I'm just going to start out, actually, I'm going to go from the bottom up. We're talking about the most of the standard Bidjar rugs. And actually the Bukan here is a perfect example. You typically have the Rarity design that you can see here that I'm pointing out to you. That is very common. But you will also have sometimes these little bit of a floral designs, and that's the variation of the Bijars. But you will notice that this, for example, right here, this runner, this small piece, I'm flipping it over. This you can tell, standard quality. These have about 200 knots per square inch, anywhere between 100 to 200. And one of the things that you can almost always tell on the cheaper, on the lower end Bidjar rugs, if you look closely, you'll notice no leather stripping on the back. And also there's no leather here. Also, it's a very well-made rug actually for its quality, but it's a wool pile. It's thick and everything that you would expect from a Bijar, but it's not. I don't know how you put it. It's not an extremely dense pile as the Bijars are known for. This is the type of rug that if you put chairs or tables on it and you leave a table and you move the table after a year, obviously there's going to be a little indentation. It will come out when you brush it and everything, but that's what you would expect. On the high-end pieces, yeah, you can put just about anything you want on them, short of a piano. I have a client who's done that. And when he moved the piano, actually 6 months later, he pointed out, he said, Mike, even though this thing weighs a ton, there was literally, as the piano was never on the rug. And this is what you would expect. But this is the difference between a very high-end piece and a standard piece. There's also obviously a big price difference. Now, as I mentioned to you, this is the runner right here, and you will notice all of the shading right here. That is all the silk highlights, which for Bidjar rugs, it's almost unheard of. It is extremely rare that you will see, and you can see it as I'm zooming in. All that white stuff that's shining back at you, that's just smiling, that is all the silk highlights. Absolutely beautiful. This is a rarity, but this is basically on the high end, on the take-up quality, really just an exceptional piece. This is what you get when you look for these types of quality pieces. But like I said, this one is going to our client George, and I promised him that I was going to take this video and feature his rug because it's really rare to find Bijars with this amount of silk and these details in this quality. It's basically, imagine a battle tank with a cappuccino machine in it. It may not make a whole lot of sense, and for those of you that are into the Bidjar rugs, you will see that it does not make a whole lot of sense to have that type of luxury in a Bijar, but here it is. Now, in between the Sanjan and the Tekap is the Bukan. And I'm just going to move this out of the way. This is actually, at the moment, I think, the only one that we have. This is a 10 foot by 7 foot, 2 meter by 3 meter. And the Bukans are what many of us who are passionate about these rugs, we consider them to be the rarest of them all. The Tekaps are exceptional. But if you were to ask me, the Bukan, about 300 knots per square inch, 250 to 300. The Tekap, 350. if you would ask me which one I would want to have, Bukan. This is right here, because this is a rug that literally pays respect to the culture. And the folks there, they don't make a whole lot of rugs anymore with all the issues that the Kurdish people are having in Iran and everything. A lot of them have basically moved away into the cities. And the Bijars are the types of rugs that you typically, these are still made in the small villages and everything. But these are just absolutely exceptional pieces, but they're still made in the old-fashioned way. You're not going to get a whole lot of Bukan that have the silk highlights and everything. And this is really just, it's almost like a heritage rug. This pays tribute, even though it's a new piece, it shows how things were done in the old days. And so when I have fellow Bijar, well, I want to say Bijar lovers almost, but when I have folks who contact me about, and ask me about the Bijars, I always tell them, I said, you know what, I like the Tekap quality, obviously extremely fine, but if I had to choose between the two, Bukan is my personal passion, simply because we know the rugs. But at the same token, you also have the standard qualities of the Sanjan pieces. And these are the pieces that you would typically find, whether it's on eBay or when you go online or something, when you look at the shops. And there is a big price difference. The Bijars, one of the questions I oftentimes get asked is, you can have Bijars that are literally identical, but one is 3 times more expensive than the other. Well, now you know why. You can have a rug that has, even when it has a lower quality, for example, the Bukan over the Tekap, because of their rarity and because of the way that these are still made, the same old-fashioned way, a lot of times these are actually more expensive for us to purchase than the Tekaps. And so I always tell people, when it comes to the Bijars, yes, quality matters and everything, but it also depends on what type of, basically, not just the design and everything, but the workmanship that goes in. So for those of you that are into the Bijars, I hope this video is of help to you. I thought I'd introduce you to the Bukan. I thought I'd show you, obviously, this gorgeous runner here, and also show you all that. So I'm going to come back to you guys now and say my quick final goodbyes. So here was our video about the Bidjar rugs. Wanted to give you a little introduction about them and answer also some of your questions and everything. So hope the video is of help to you. As I mentioned earlier, if you like our channel, feel free to subscribe. Let us know if you have any questions. We typically do about a few videos every month or so. And so until we see each other again, I wish you and your family the very best. And we're going to come back to you with many more videos. Take care. Bye-bye.